Welcome to today's CARLA webinar. My name is Kate Paisani and I work at CARLA, and we're very happy to have you here. The webinar that we are doing today is a kickoff event for a new initiative that CARLA is doing in collaboration with ACTFL on practical program evaluation. So I'm really happy to welcome Meg Malone and Celia Zamora today. Meg is the Director of Assessment and Research at ACTFL, and Celia is the Director for Professional Learning and Certification at ACTFL, and they are co-leading CARLA's Practical Program Evaluation Initiative. And the title of their webinar is Program Evaluations, What They Are and What They Aren't. So take it away, Meg and Celia.
Thank you so much, Kate, and hello, everyone, from a sunny and weirdly cold Tampa, Florida. So we're very excited to share this with you today, and we just wanted to really clear up some misconceptions when we talk about program evaluation, and I'm joined by my wonderful colleague, Meg Malone. Before we start, I'd like to take a moment to give an Indigenous land acknowledgement, and we're going to base it off of ACTFL headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia. We would like to first acknowledge the ancestral and traditional owners of the land from which we are presenting today, Alexandria, Virginia, and their neighbors as the Anacostan, Piscataway, and Pamunkey peoples. Through this acknowledgement, we recognize Indigenous sovereignty, history, and experiences. We affirm our commitment to focus on and amplify Indigenous voices and to work towards ongoing action and relationship through education. We would like to pay our respects to the elders, both past and present. So a quick agenda for our webinar today. We'd like to talk, first of all, who are we and why do we feel so compelled to give you this webinar, as well as a little introduction to what is ACTFL, an intro to program evaluation and asking you what you know about program evaluation. Then we're going to talk about a few of the misconceptions, what it is and what it isn't. And then we're going to briefly talk about the CARLA Summer Institute, where we will hope that you will join us. And lastly, we'll open it up to some questions. So who are we? Who is this wonderful Meg Malone and Celia Zamora? Well, we are language learners and advocates in our roles at ACTFL, whether it's through advocating for ensuring that everyone has access to the skill of biliteracy and having language courses and quality assessment, to whether us ourselves have taken language courses and have undergone program evaluations. We love methodology and pedagogy. We both have PhDs in linguistics and Spanish linguistics, and our connection, of course, is Georgetown, so Hoya Saxa. And we have almost 50 years combined experience in language teaching, test development, program evaluation, and professional development. So we are very excited to bring this breadth of information to you. So really quickly, I'm turning it over to Meg.
Okay, I'm sure some of you know about ACTFL, but we just want to give a little overview about ACTFL's mission and vision. Our mission is to provide vision, leadership, and support for quality teaching and learning of languages. And our vision is an interconnected world where everyone benefits from and values a multilingual and multicultural education. So that's ACTFL's mission and vision. And then a little more about ACTFL. Next slide, please. I love saying that. Who are we? ACTFL is our members. We include educators and students and administrators, all the way from pre-K through 20, government, industry, community, not-for-profit sectors. We represent all 50 states, plus DC and the US territories, more than 50 countries across the globe, and some of you are here. And 60 plus languages. We're still looking for that Z language so that we can say A to Z. So, you know, we're working on that. And then a little more about who we are. People often want to know who are ACTFL members. 45% of our members have been our members for fewer than 5 years, which is amazing. 43% for 6 to 20 years. I'm in that cut. Oh no, I think actually I'm in the 12% for more than 20 years. If we have more than 50 years combined of experience. And then as you can see, we have early career members, mid-career, and late career. So we're serving all kinds of language educators. And you might notice these numbers add up to more than 100%. Those of you in the language field know that most of us, not most of us, but a lot of us fill multiple roles. So we have K-12 settings, higher ed, government, industry, business, and then in addition, community and weekend schools, which of course is really important. What are we known for? We're known for a lot of different things. We did some screen grabs of these. The World Readiness Standards for Learning Languages. Man, these look so bright and pretty on such a dreary day in DC with all these colors. Of course, the actual proficiency guidelines and the famous inverted pyramid. Our flagship journal, Foreign Language Annals, and The Language Educator, our magazine. Oh, thank you. I think they're pretty too. Maybe we should have t-shirts made for ourselves, huh, Celia? And another thing we're known for is that ACTFL will be in Chicago, which for those of you in the Midwest is not far from where you are. And that's our annual convention that we hold the weekend before Thanksgiving every year. And then finally, one of the elements of ACTFL that we're most known for is the ACTFL OPI, the Oral Proficiency Interview, which we consider the gold standard in oral proficiency assessment. Some of you might not know that ACTFL has a strategic plan. We did a series of conversations last year with our members and admirers and friends about our strategic plan. And I just want to give you a little overview of what it is and how it fits into what we're doing. So there are 5 aspects to our strategic plan. One is advocacy and outreach. Another is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Professional learning, which technically is Celia's wheelhouse, but of course, all of us at ACTFL care about and are committed to professional learning. Research, which, you know, technically with my title is in my wheelhouse, but Celia and I do a lot of research projects together. And then teacher recruitment and retention. How does program evaluation fit into this? I would say that it fits in everywhere, because good program evaluation can support all of this with advocacy, with making sure that we're reaching diverse audiences and including diverse teachers, that we're providing professional learning for our educators, that we're doing research-based evaluation, and that program evaluation helps us not just retain the teachers we have, but recruit new ones.
So what we'd like to invite you to do right now is, before we start talking about program evaluation, we'd like to really quickly invite you to give us some insight as to what you think program evaluation is. We're going to give everyone a minute to write their own definition of program evaluation in the chat. Now, we know that a lot of you are overachievers, so don't write it in just yet. Wait until we give you the prompt. So we'd like for you to finish this sentence. Take a minute and think about program evaluation is. That could be a word, it can be a phrase, it can be a complete sentence. Keep it under, you know, a paragraph, if that'll be great. So when we say go, we'd like for you to put that all into the chat and then cascade it so that we can pick and choose some of the ones. So ready, program evaluation is go. So we see an opportunity to refine our practices, a path to making improvements, survey.
Oh, I like this one, holistic.
Holistic is a good one. Crucial to the health of a program, great.
Ooh.
Reflection, I love that. Necessary, yes. Measuring outcomes, are we doing what we say we do? That's so important, because so often we see that we have this goal and then what we're doing has nothing to do with the goal itself, and then we're surprised when we don't see the outcome. Alignment.
Go ahead. I love this one. A process that helps to continually grow. And then I'm sorry, it just slipped by me. Something about reflect and improve.
And I did see an interesting one, the start of a layoff. So that is actually a misconception that we're going to talk about today. So that is not what a program evaluation is, of course. An opportunity to grow, reflection. Great. So again, we talked about some words that resonated with us, a lot of reflection, analyzing, survey, collaboration, outcomes, goals, alignment. These are really, really great words that we see. Meg, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Let me reflect for a moment, since program evaluation is supposed to be reflective. I like the collecting data part. I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that, Celia.
Oh, there's yours, a tool to measure progress. Those are all of Meg's keywords right there. Wonderful.
Yeah. And I love that research is in there too. And good decisions. This is great. And yeah.
So great. It does sound like we have some really good conceptions of what program evaluation is. I think this is a really good baseline to start. So let's talk a little bit in this brief webinar what program evaluations are and what they aren't. And also I'd like to take a moment to say what this webinar is and what it isn't. This webinar is supposed to be just a very brief introduction as to what a program evaluation is. Program evaluation books are written on it, entire semester and year-long courses are given on it. So we cannot, of course, give you in a 45 to 60-minute webinar all of the tools that you need from a program evaluation, but this is a really great introduction to invite you over to our summer seminar so that you can then learn how to create and do your own program evaluation. So what a program evaluation is, it is a systematic approach, and what it isn't is a judgment tool. Both Meg and I have conducted program evaluations, and one of the things that we usually do is we go into either the classroom or the program where we're conducting this evaluation and really bring everybody at ease, because one of the main things is building that relationship and building that communication with everyone involved, all of the stakeholders, letting them know we are not here to judge, we're not here to criticize, we are not here to tell you this is what you're doing right and this is what you're doing wrong, fix it. Absolutely not. The program evaluation is it's a collaborative process. It's something that involves a lot of buy-in. It's a place where everyone needs to be just very vocal about what is working for you, because we would, for instance, interview the teachers, the students, the parents, the principals, all of the stakeholders that are involved with that program. And we ask them very targeted questions about what is working for them, what isn't working for them, what can be improved. So it's not a way for us to side with the principal, for example, and say, okay, well, the principal says that you're not doing your job, so we're here to kind of tell the principal all the things that you're doing wrong, so then we can have a case to let you go. Absolutely not. That is not what this is for. We're not here to judge. We're here instead to look at everything holistically, and that's why we love that word holistic, because sometimes there might be some instances where we think we're doing something right, but it's not really aligned to the outcome or to the vision of the program. So it really is a way to create buy-in from all of the stakeholders involved, and then to be able to provide suggestions to the program as to, well, if you would like your learners to be able to do this, this, and this, but you are doing this that is actually counterproductive, then you're not really going to meet your goals. So suggestion could be you reevaluating your goals, reevaluating what the purpose of your program is, or if it's really important for you to keep that outcome, these are some suggestions as to how to get you there. And then here are some suggested professional development for your instructors. Here is some suggested professional development for your directors and for your principals. Because a lot of the times what we found out is a district supervisor came to us with these issues, and they didn't even realize that you're supposed to be speaking in the target language in the classroom. They thought that they were in trouble because they would go into the language classroom and see the teacher not speaking in English, and they thought that was a problem. So it really is a learning opportunity for everyone involved, even getting the parents and the students involved in advocacy and supporting these language programs, because maybe resources are needed. So it really is not a way to criticize the teachers or to place blame on anybody. It's just to create that buy-in and to show and to really suggest what needs to be improved upon or ways to grow. Again, with that, celebrate successes and identify growth opportunities, and it's not a punitive instrument. So again, there was, for example, one program evaluation that I did recently where we went into the classroom, and the program really had pride in being a very communicative program that was aligned with the ACTFL standards. But when we went into the classrooms really had nothing to do with the ACTFL standards. They were speaking in English the whole time. They were just really doing things that didn't really connect or align with the program. So when we saw that, we did give suggestions as to what could be improved in the classrooms, but we never named any names. When we had interviews with these teachers, we never gave names. We never said, well, this teacher's doing this and this teacher's doing that, because that would not be productive to this conversation at all. Instead, what we said is, these are some patterns that we are seeing. These are some things that we are noticing that are keeping you from having your students graduate with an advanced mid-level. And actually, in some cases, what we suggest is we think that your goals and your projected outcomes for these students are really not feasible. You're saying that your students after 2 years will come out of your program with an advanced mid, and you're putting some ridiculous pressure on your teachers and your students because that is not attainable in a class that meets 3 times a week. And in some cases, when we talked to teachers, we found out that the language classrooms were the ones that were always sacrificed. So if there needed to be a field trip or a meeting, it was usually during language classroom time that these things happen. So sometimes they would see the students once a week. So of course, we went back saying, well, you can't expect for educators to do this, this, and this when the language classroom is the one that's being consistently sacrificed. So this needs to be reevaluated. Or even parents. Parents had very unrealistic expectations of what was going on in the language classroom. So then this is a way for us to help provide suggestions so that the administrators could talk to the parents and give parents really accurate representations of what's going on in the classroom. So it was really a wonderful tool to be able to celebrate what's going right and what everyone is doing right, and ways for us to grow to continue to support our students and the program. What it is allows the program to determine if its goals match its mission versus the revamping of a program. And we also see this a lot with less commonly taught languages. We see it a lot with community programs, with after-school programs, especially when a lot of these programs do not have trained educators, but it's really just the community, the parents that want to continue to provide the language for the next generation. So it really is a great way because sometimes when the program is developed, they have this really ambitious goal in mind, not necessarily having that background in language pedagogy and methodology to understand what they're really asking for. So they want the students to be really well-versed in the writing and everything, but then you look into the program and there's no writing involved. Or they want their students to really embrace the culture of their less commonly taught language in this neighborhood, but then the neighborhood itself doesn't really provide opportunities for the students to experience the culture, or there aren't any cultural programs, or in the classroom themselves, they were focusing only constricting to the grammar and to translation exercises, but there was absolutely no culture involved. So how is the goal and the mission going to be to embrace the culture when there is no cultural education happening in the program? So then at that point, we would suggest, well, if this is your mission, is the mission more important or what you're doing in the classroom more important? If so, then one of them needs to change. And here are some suggestions on how to do so. So it's not necessarily a revamping of the program if it's not needed, but if it's something that will allow them to go to the mission, then suggestions and growth opportunities are provided. And now I will turn it over to Meg.
So one aspect of program evaluation that is so important is that it needs to be contextualized to a specific program. What's going on there? What's happening? All the WH questions. Who's there? Why are they there? What are they doing? How is the program being run? And it is not a decontextualized summary. And let me give you a very real life example. Let's say a program made its goals in the fall of 2019. A lot has happened in the world and locally between 2019 and now. And so you need to look at how did the COVID-19 shutdown and all of the subsequent events affect this program. And it might be very different, even two programs in the same district or in the same university, because different programs have different needs and context really can make a difference. So what's really important is that program evaluations are contextualized. Not every single program in this language at this level has to be matchy-matchy. It's all about what the program is doing and how the needs are being met. And I'm going to start with what it isn't. As I said, we don't take a one-size-fits-all. It can't be decontextualized. And if you've ever seen a one-size-fits-all t-shirt, let me tell you, I need to belt it and pull it up, and it still looks terrible on me because I'm really short, right? So one size doesn't fit all and look nice, right? And so what a program evaluation is supposed to do is help a program determine the extent to which it is meeting its goals. So if your goals in 2019 were here and suddenly your program was shut down or language took a back seat for a while, you need to really look to see What was going on? To what extent is your program meeting its goals? Not a yes or no. Now, one big myth is that program evaluation is only important or only conducted for large or credit-bearing programs. I have done tiny program evaluations. I've done program evaluations at, small community schools. Program evaluation is for any language entity that wants to reflect and examine what it's doing, what's working. This is particularly important for the institute we're doing this summer with LICTLs, because a lot of less commonly taught language programs are small. Some of them aren't credit bearing. And so really a program evaluation can be conducted for any language entity, community, Saturday, heritage, summer camp, after school, and so on. In addition, one of the purposes of the Institute is so that program evaluation isn't only for well-funded programs, right? We're going to give you the tools that you're going to need to conduct program evaluations. It's really important that program evaluation is seen as something that's doable and not only for elite or well-funded programs or programs that are externally funded. That's me. Okay. Oh, this is pretty again. I have to put my glasses on now. Okay. What will this institute focus on? We're going to start with a comprehensive approach to evaluation. And don't worry, we'll revisit all these topics again in June, because we know that a lot will happen between now and June. And so we'll be looking at this comprehensive approach to evaluation, not just language program evaluation, but evaluation at large. We're going to be thinking about the needs of learners and teachers. I think what's really important in program evaluation is to start with learners and teachers. What do they need? What's going on with them? Then we'll focus on less commonly taught language programs at all levels, K-12, higher ed, and that's higher ed 4-year and 2-year schools, community schools, Star Talk programs, and any other less commonly taught language programs. And one of the reasons I just want to go back to the needs of the learners and teachers is very often this approach to, oh, you teach language, all languages are the same. Of course they're not. LITL programs have different affordances and different, we bring different things to the table in less commonly taught language programs. We're also going to look at what we call the requirements and the capacities. What's required and then what are you bringing to the table of administrators and parents and other stakeholders, not just learners and teachers, but who's bringing what to the table. This is particularly important in, community schools and K-12. Obviously, parents play less of a role in higher ed, and of course in Star Talk programs for K-12. We also want to highlight the values of the discipline of language teaching and learning, particularly in LICTLs. What are the values there? How are we conveying those values? And then finally, you always want to look at a program evaluation in terms of how does it reflect how it's contributing to the local and wider society? How is this language program serving local folks, not just the learners and the teachers, the administrators, the parents, and other immediate stakeholders, but the whole society?
And a really great way to add to that is that it really, again, ensures that our programs continue to thrive, especially with all of the changes that we have seen with the pandemic, with very few access to resources, with all of these things. It really ensures that the program continues to grow, that if it has to take a little bit of a reevaluation, it has the ability to do so. And we really want to empower you to be able to do that for your own department, so that you can continue to do that in a cycle, for example, instead of just waiting until you have funding to do so, because everyone should have the ability to look at their program, see what's working, see what needs improvement, and grow, not just the well-funded programs as we had referred to earlier. And with that, we're turning it over to Kate.
Thanks, Celia and Meg. I want to mention that we have had over 200 attendees at this webinar, so we're really grateful for your presence and your participation. So as Celia and Meg said, they're going to be teaching a 3-week asynchronous institute as part of CARLA's Summer Institute program on practical program evaluation with a specific focus on instructors of Less Commonly Taught Languages. This takes place from June 26th to July 14th, 2023. And Karen has just put in the chat a link to the program and also to a new initiative that we have to provide scholarships to educators who are teaching at community colleges, and then higher ed institutions that are minority serving institutions or historically Black colleges and universities, and also for teachers of less commonly taught languages. And this means that you'll be able to attend the Summer Institute at no cost to you except for a small commitment fee of, I believe, $50. So we're really happy to be able to offer that. All the links are in the chat. And I know there was one question about why it is that we're focusing on instructors of less commonly taught languages in this institute. And I'll go ahead and start the answer. And Celia and Meg, maybe you can sort of follow up about the can I come, I teach ESL. The reason that we're focusing on these particular groups, so the first institute will be on less commonly taught languages. The second one, I'm just pulling up my notes, will be for educators at community colleges, HBCUs, and MSIs. And the third one will be for heritage and community language programs. The reason that we're doing this is because it was a priority for the funding that is supporting this program, and also because these groups are typically underrepresented in language education and have very few resources available to them to support things like program evaluation. So we wanted to make sure that educators that fall within these categories are able to take advantage of the excellent work that Celia and Meg do related to program evaluation. So I would encourage all of you to apply to attend the Summer Institute, where you can get all of these questions answered. If you're a teacher of a less commonly taught languages, a teacher of a less commonly taught language, we would love to have you in this institute, and we would love for you to apply to the priority teacher. Oh gosh, it's a long name. The Priority Teacher Professionalization Scholarship. I think that's what we decided to call it. And also, and if you're at an MSI, an HBCU, or a community college. So I want to thank Meg and Celia for this engaging webinar. And I want to thank all of you for coming today and for your great questions and feedback in the chat. And we look forward to seeing you at the CARLA Summer Institute in June. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.